Hello, my name is Rebecca Stewart and I'm an educational psychologist in Bristol. Thank you for joining me today for one of a series of 5 short webinars explaining different approaches to managing emotional wellbeing during Covid-19. This webinar is focusing on expressing emotions through writing. These webinars have been designed for supporting school staff wellbeing, but I hope that the information shared will be relevant to anyone who wants to look after their emotional wellbeing during lockdown. We're in a very strange time right now where our usual routines have changed. Schools remain open but look very different, with requirements for social distancing in place and a gradual integration of groups of children. Many of you will still be going to school regularly, and many will not be able to do so because of health conditions that make you vulnerable. These different situations can trigger a range of emotional responses, all of which are to be expected. These emotions are also likely to be different depending on individual circumstances, so you shouldn't feel guilty for not feeling anxious when someone else does, or for finding joy in a situation that others are finding sad. Just as we all experience different emotions in different ways, what works for managing different emotions will also vary from person to person. Expressive writing is one evidence-based approach to processing difficult emotions and promoting well-being, but it's not the only approach. For some, the thought of writing may feel intimidating or stressful, and this may not be the approach for you. However, James Pennebaker and Joshua Smith have gathered lots of evidence to suggest that processing emotional experiences through writing has positive impacts on both physical and mental well-being. So I'm going to explain a little bit more about why it works and how to do it so that you can give it a try if you would like to. So why is writing beneficial? Well, we have a tendency to actively avoid thinking about unpleasant experiences, but holding on to these thoughts can be detrimental to our mental and physical health. Trying to avoid thinking about things is hard work, as we have to constantly restrain our thoughts and feelings. It also doesn't work. The more you try to stop thinking about something, the more that thought comes into consciousness. For example, if I told you to focus on not thinking about a white bear for the next 2 minutes, this is a nearly impossible task. Feel free to pause this video and have a go if you'd like to. So trying not to think about unpleasant things, A, doesn't work, and B, has some nasty short and long-term impacts. In the moment, you might notice things such as an increased heart rate or sweating, and in the long term, it can lead to physical and/or mental illness. So instead of trying to avoid difficult thoughts and emotions, a healthier way to deal with them is to express them through talking or writing. There is a lot of evidence to show how writing about our deepest thoughts and feelings can have positive impacts in terms of mental and physical health, job prospects, academic achievement, working memory, and sleep, to name a few. Following writing, people have also reported feeling peace of mind, understanding how they felt and why, and no longer finding it painful to think about the experience. It's therefore a useful technique for maintaining emotional well-being and moving away from the unhelpful strategy of avoiding thinking about difficult events. But why is this the case? So putting our deeply emotional experience into language helps us to process the event. It also prevents our thoughts and feelings from coming to the surface in different ways, for example, anxiety, ruminations, and bad dreams. This means that we can be less distracted by the thoughts and feelings we've been trying to push down and free up space to think of other things. In the current situation, lots of people are experiencing difficult feelings. Learning to be open to our own vulnerability and making room for these feelings is key, as not only will it help us to keep going, it will also help us connect with others who may also be experiencing difficult feelings, whether they be colleagues, pupils, or family and friends. Sharing our own vulnerability increases our connection to others, something that is so important in the context of social distancing, or as I prefer to think of it, physical distancing. Just to add a warning, writing should not replace conversations with friends, families, or colleagues. There may be subjects that are hard to discuss with others, in which case writing can be beneficial, but it is important that you also continue to talk to others, as they can help provide a really good reality check when we blow our thoughts and feelings out of proportion. So how do we do it? So the research around expressive writing suggests multiple short writing sessions with breaks in between. For example, 3 20-minute sessions across 3 days. So Pennebaker and Smith recommend that you write multiple times, and that once you start writing, you keep going for the duration of the time, even if that means repeating something that you've already written while you think of what to write next. This isn't something you need to do every day. However, it can be a useful activity to come back to if you notice yourself struggling to process an emotional event. So although the word traumatic is used in an expressive writing text, this activity can be helpful for processing any stressful event. Maybe you have been separated from loved ones during lockdown. Maybe you've lost a job, been furloughed, or the nature of your job has completely changed. Things at home might have been particularly challenging, trying to manage homeschooling and spending all your time with the same people. Or maybe you live alone and have been feeling lonely and isolated. Lockdown may have triggered memories of a previous traumatic event in your life, or the uncertainty of the situation may have made it harder for you to manage thoughts and emotions that you were previously avoiding. However apparently big or small the event, if it's causing you to experience a high level of emotion and is playing on your mind or impacting on your sleep, then it may be worth exploring this through writing. So why are we not doing this all the time? Well, in day-to-day life, it can be difficult to set aside time to do things that support our emotional well-being. One of the biggest barriers often to engaging with expressive writing is actually finding and setting aside the time to do it. So these are my top tips for overcoming this barrier. Firstly, find a group of people to do it with, either in person or remotely, so that you are accountable to one another. Expressive writing is a personal experience, and you do not share what you've written with others, but doing it together can help to make it happen. Secondly, choose a consistent time of day to do it and repeat at the same time each day. This makes it part of that week's routine and may help to prevent from other things from getting in the way. If you're interested in learning more about this, James Pennebaker and Joshua Smith's book, Opening Up by Writing It Down, explains how expressive writing is developed and the evidence of its effectiveness in a range of situations. I'm just going to share my screen now so you can see the book if you're interested in looking it up. So all of the information and the research included in this presentation has been taken from this text. So thank you very much to James Pennebaker and Joshua Smith. And I'm going to end today's session by reading the script from this book to set you off on an expressive writing task. So feel free to have a go yourselves now. If you don't have time to do it right now, that's fine. Feel free to come back to this webinar, skip to the end and watch it again and have a go at doing it. So I'll read the script to you now. Over the next 4 days, I want you to write about your deepest emotions and thoughts about the most upsetting experience in your life. Really let go and explore your feelings and thoughts about it. In your writing, you might tie this experience to your childhood, your relationship with your parents, people you have loved or love now, or even your career. How is this experience related to who you would like to become, who you have been in the past, or who you are now? Many people have not had a single traumatic experience, but all of us have had major conflicts or stresses in our lives, and you can write about them as well. You can write about the same issue every day or a series of different issues. Whatever you choose to write about, however, it is critical that you really let go and explore your very deepest emotions and thoughts. If you prefer, you can choose to identify an event and then focus on the positive aspects of the experience. This might include a focus on how you have grown or changed as a person due to the event, or how you might be better equipped to meet future challenges. Just a word of warning, many people report that after writing they sometimes feel somewhat sad or depressed. As with seeing a sad movie, this typically goes away in a couple of hours, but if you find that you are getting extremely upset about a writing topic, simply stop writing or change topics.